All right, welcome. We're M3 Collective, the book, Atomic Habits, the author, James Clear. We're talking chapter 6, and we're talking environment and setting up proper cues in your environment in order to in order to know that you're supposed to do something, right? And just before we kind of get into that, I do just want to take just a moment to just kind of go into the how you create a habit. So this is kind of going back to one of the earlier chapters in the book, but to create a habit, you have the cue, the craving, the response, and then of course the reward. And so environment and cueing is just one of those aspects of creating habits. We're all familiar with what they do in grocery stores, right? You're in the grocery store, you're getting ready to check out. Of course, when you're getting ready to check out, you got all the soda right there at the end cap. You've got candy, you've got bubble gum, you've got all those things just front and center right in front of your face saying, you know, buy me, buy me, buy me, right? And I'm pretty sure having that in front of you is giving you a cue. Hey, I like Skittles, I like M&Ms, I like Starbucks, I like gum, buy me, right? So the question here is, perseverance, grit, and willpower are essential to success. But the way to improve these qualities is not by wishing you were more disciplined, but by creating a more disciplined environment. I've never seen someone stick to a positive habit in a very negative environment. So in light of what was said above, are there aspects of the environment that hinder your ability to build positive habits?
Sure. I'll go. Yes, unfortunately, there are things that kind of affects me right now, and I think it is to do with me being involved in a lot of startup companies or small companies, and what that usually means is very unstructured. Right, my day is unpredictable. If you ask me, hey, how's it like next Tuesday? I say, I have no idea. Right? Every day, things will pop up. There's fires to fight. Sometimes I need to, even after the work hours, I still need to write documents. I'm sure you're very familiar with that.
Yeah.
And so that is really, really difficult if I want to build something, build a routine, build a habit. So, I think, and the problem is that this kind of stuff is outside of my control. So I know the problem. I may not have the answer of how to mitigate that.
Yeah.
So maybe you guys have some thoughts about that.
All right, cool. Well, I mean, for me, for instance, I like to change my environment, and I find a couple of different things. I find, number one, there's this coffee shop in DC, and the coffee shop is really nice. It's nice. It's a laid-back coffee shop. During the summer, they open up the doors, so there's all this fresh air coming in. At night, they've got music. They have music playing, like soft music playing during the day. At night, they have like little small bands come in. The place is a very good place to work. They've got good internet. I like working there, and just sort of being in that environment and with other people that are doing creative things sort of forces you to be creative, right? It forces you to kind of get your job done, get your work done. And that's partially the concept of working in the office, right? Because you're looking around and you're seeing all these other people working. So it tells you, hey, these other people are working, I need to work, right? And so I 100% think that there are various environments that are just more prone to being more creative and to just getting things done. I'll tell you this. Some years ago, when I was a software developer, I had a project, and the project led me to Brazil. And so while I was living in Brazil, I had a 2-floor condo overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, right on the beach. And my productivity just went through the roof, right? A, because I wanted to stay in Brazil, but two, because I was just so free. I had the fresh ocean air coming in. If I wanted to go for a walk, all I had to do was walk down the stairs and just take a little bit of a walk along the beach or along the coast. It was beautiful. I was at peace. I was rested. I was in harmony. Therefore, my productivity was sky high. And that environment worked well for me. Now, that was what worked for me. Some people might work well in the mountains. They might work well at a ski resort. They might work well in wherever. But for me, those types of environments really get the creative juices going, and I find myself being more productive in those cases.
And in this book, James Clear is very clear about the importance of your environment in habit building. That he actually lists your environment as one of the top influencers on your ability to build a habit with greater ease. And I think here what we're talking about is creating optimal conditions, because this is not necessarily accessible for everyone, and we're all in different situations. My gosh, I would love to go to Brazil and for sure I know that I too think that I'd be much more productive with a beautiful ocean view. And I think really it's about mindset. So developing a mindset to build a habit, we should be able to do that in any environment that we're in. But we can make it easier and more attractive by setting up, James Clear says, priming our environment to increase our chances of successfully building a habit. And he also talks about one habit, one space. So if you're creating in an office environment, it shouldn't be where your TV is, where you sleep, where your children play, where the dogs are, for instance. That optimally, and again, it's about what the optimal environment would be one place to just work. So you already have all the distractions removed, and you're only focusing on building the habit of working or writing or what have you, or and I can see his point in that respect. So I do think that environment does play a large role in facilitating habit building.
So I guess what you're saying with my situation then, where I have so much unstructured stuff going on, and the only solution that comes to mind is I have to remove myself from that environment.
I would say that's the only solution.
Well, I mean, I
Optimally.
Well, one solution. So like, let's say you're in a chaotic situation, right?
Yep.
Have a quiet space, right? Like, identify a space in that chaotic space where you can actually, it worked for you. Now, if it's chaotic because it needs to be cleaned, right? Because we kind of work better when we're in clean environments, uncluttered environments. So if that is indeed the key, one solution might just be unclutter if it's a cluttery place.
Sure, but I think for my situation it's more about the unstructured nature of the work. And being in my home office, as an example, it would just keep me going. I need to deal with this, I need to deal with that.
Yeah.
So I think one way, is to, at a certain time, I should somehow get myself out of that environment into a different environment, maybe that will allow me to focus on exercising.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I stay in the home office, I will never get to exercising.
Yeah.
Because there's always stuff coming.
Yeah.
So maybe the first step is to somehow get me out of that environment.
Yeah.
So that I can continue with the other stuff.
Yeah.
And I think one of the good news is, for a lot of people, it could be parents of young children or people living with multiple people who you can't necessarily control your environment. One of the good things is that we can internally in our minds be able to create space for ourselves to decompress, to find a sense of calm, to find a sense of being that is apart from our current situation. So that there are ways as a meditation teacher that you can spend a moment, no matter what is going on around you, no matter what you have in front of you, to take a moment to pause mindfully, to bring yourself back to point, to let go of all of the stuff that is around you, to do some breathing exercises to reconnect to your body. You're also trying to move yourself out of your sympathetic nervous system, something that's very, very, I think, could be very tricky when you're dealing with challenges and solving problems, and with a lot of clutter around, as we tend to move into sympathetic nervous system, right? Our pulse rate increases, our heart rate increases, our mind becomes busier, and then to move ourselves back into parasympathetic, where it's called rest and digest.
Okay.
And no matter what is going on around you, to cultivate those skills by being able to bring yourself into a different state of mind, I think is something that's very resourceful. So we can create environment within ourselves. We can cultivate that within ourselves, because I think that our viewers, and this is we would love to hear from you and your individual situations, and what you each individually are doing, and what your thoughts are about James Clear's method of creating your environment, one space, one habit.
Yeah. And just to sort of just tie this up, it doesn't necessarily have to be the entire environment, right? You can add cues into your environment in order to get the desired behavior that you want. So just like in the grocery store example, instead of, you can have more bottled water in the house, and by having more bottled water in the house, that will of course allow you to drink more water, if that is indeed the case. Or if you want to remember to take your medicine at night, you might want to put your pills next to your toothbrush or something to that effect. So you can also play the same type of bubblegum M&M game that the grocery stores play, by putting the things that you want to do, those habits, having your guitar in the middle of the living room if you want to remember to practice, that type of stuff. You can also add cueing to your house. So it's both environmental, it's both internal, and then you can also have props or have those items in your home in order to cue you in order to do the behavior that you want to achieve.
And it can also be removing things from your environment too. If you're trying to decrease your sugar intake, for instance, maybe it is making sure that there isn't a lot of M&Ms in your cupboard.
Right.
And I know that can be tough if you have small children.
Hey guys, of course we are the M3 Collective. Please don't forget to like,
Comment.
And subscribe.
By doing so, you'll receive notification when we drop new videos.